beautiful room, and I know we'll have a chance to see some of the other rooms in this state-of-the-art Boys and Girls Club. I thought to myself, I see all that steel, I see all that cinder block work. And it takes about this much stuff to make a jail. That's what we've been doing too much of in recent years. We've been using this kind of material and treasure to build jails, to put our children in eventually. No other civilized nation in the world has as many people in jail as we have in jail. So we need more mentors. We need more places like this, where the community comes together and says to the young people of the community, and especially in this neighborhood here, we care about you. Because you see, what these young people are seeing, not just a nice place to play basketball or in the computer room to run a software program. They don't see steel and cinder blocks alone. What they see are people who care about them. What they see are people who love them. What they see are people who have expectations of them and about them and will not let them fail. We do not have anything more important to do than to protect youngsters like this and put them on the road to success. The choice is very simple. We either build our children or we build more jails. It's time to stop building jails and get back to what we know how to do as Americans, and that's to build our children.
Welcome to the Gilchrist Experience. As you know, that's Colin Powell, the general who fought wars. Now he's fighting a war against ignorance in our children and sending them in a direction that they need to go. We all had a good childhood, supposedly. If you came out sane, you know, you had a good upbringing. But half of this madness comes from the poor beginnings of most of us. If we don't have a good home life, you know, you wind up being a lost soul. Mm-hmm. And this is a topic of our subject matter today, ACS, where a lot of souls are lost. The problem with ACS is a $2 billion business, and they're hustling our kids. So we have to be, we have to put on the armor of God, really. To keep ourselves sane, because when the beast comes after you, ACS, the $2 billion business that we're talking about, you have to be well armed and ready for the onslaught. And our guest today, Dwan Collins. Excuse me, Dwan. But he's going to tell you the story of your fight to save your son. 7 years old now,
yes.
About to go to second grade, and you had an experience of this beast grabbing up your heart.
Yes.
So you're going to help us out and tell us how to stay away from this sort of nonsense and what you did to get into this nonsense.
Well, which one you want me to start with first?
Well, whatever you feel comfortable in telling us first.
Well, it all started November 29th. 2007. I was living in Rosedale, Queens, with just me and my son, because I had custody of him. And I got arrested, okay, prior to that, for allegedly selling crack cocaine to an undercover cop. Okay.
Were you guilty?
Well, I was not found guilty of the sale, so no.
Were you guilty?
No, I was not.
Okay.
So, speeding up, my son was with his friend by the name of Mr. Jones. I was a family friend, and then my mom came over and took over from Chicago. Okay, so at this point, the ACS caseworker, her name was Dawn Forrester, out in Queens. She told my mom to take my son out of town. Okay, but my mom says, no, I want to do it legally because the birth mom still has her rights and he has his sibling visits here in New York. So the ACS worker, Don Forrester, told my mom to come to court the next day because it was a Sunday that my son was removed under the guise of emergency removal. So my mom came to court the next day, and they told her to wait in the hallway, and while they had an ex parte communication. Okay, so then my mom came in there.
Explain ex parte.
Oh, ex parte is one-sided. Okay, when all the parties from ACS are there, the judges is there, and the attorney for my son was there. Okay, so that means my attorney wasn't there, my mom didn't have an attorney, and I wasn't there. So it was one-sided. So at that point, they placed my son in foster care, okay, with a non-relative, even though his grandmother was right there. The judge never even explained to my mom that she had a right to an attorney. Okay, so at that point, an appealable order was made. Okay, there was an order of removal, and I didn't know anything about that because I've never been involved with the family court system before.
Okay.
So my attorney at that time was Donald Rada, and I'm in prison. I'm relying on my attorney to tell me what's going on, and if I have a right to appeal an order, then I want to appeal it. Well, anyway, I was never given the appealable order. My attorney never informed me of my right to appeal that to the appellate court. So that time has come and gone. So my mom was trying to get kinship care.
Right.
Okay. So they told her they had to do a ICP. They had to do an ICPC, which stands for Interstate Compact on the Placement of Children. And it took not one, but 2, 3, maybe 4 ICPCs that have been done, and my son was never placed in Chicago. They came and then said they couldn't do an expedited ICPC and that she can do a custody petition. So she did the custody petition, and she filed it in 2008. Okay, but prior to that, my mom had went through all the steps to become a licensed foster parent in Chicago. Okay, she went through the screening, the fingerprints, all that. My sister as well, and only to find out that she wasn't going to get kinship care of her grandson. So then she did the custody petition and filed that in 2008. To this day, that custody petition has not been heard.
Now, ordinarily, when we're dealing with children and ACS, it is the blood family relatives who are preferred to get custody of a child in the absence of the blood mother or father, so that the child is not being placed with a stranger. So what was the problem? Why was it that they would not allow her the kinship care placement?
Well, they said they couldn't do it. They said they couldn't expedite the ICPC. So they said it'd be better for her to do it custody because it'd be quicker. But then there's also some that I've heard that they were saying that that my mom just wanted a check for her grandson. You know, so I think there might have been some bias in that somewhere.
No. In terms of custody, did his mother lose custody? Was that given up prior to?
The mother never had custody.
Okay.
Okay, because when my son was born, he went straight into the system because he was born with a positive tox screen from the mother for cocaine. Okay. And there was some there was some questions of paternity, you know, because we hadn't been together for a while. So when I saw that my son was born and I held him in my arms, and it was that bond that I felt instinctively that I knew this was my son. But the only way to legally get him, I had to go about establishing paternity. So which I did. I went through all the procedures to establish paternity and filed the papers in the family court in Brooklyn. And I was given an order of affiliation, and then I was given an order of custody. So
okay, so you're not dodging the responsibility of being a father.
No, I was not dodging it.
You're looking to take care of your
That's
child.
Right.
Tell us about the arrest that led into this. You said that you were arrested for allegedly selling crack cocaine to an undercover.
Right.
In that process of the arrest, the indictment, the trial, what happened?
Okay.
And led up to the conviction.
Okay, well, what happened that led up to the conviction was that there was this lab technician by the name of Miriam Magala.
Miriam Magala?
Miriam Magala. she submitted a fraudulent instrument saying that what I possessed or what she tested was cocaine, and the weight was supposed to be 1,152 milligrams. Okay. Now, at my trial, because I had to represent myself, because I had previous attorneys and none of the attorneys were working out in my best interests. So I felt I had to take the bull by the horns.
You're a paralegal by trade.
Yes, I'm a certified paralegal. So I understand the criminal process, I understand how it doesn't work unless you have a lot of money, okay, which is not my case. So I had to represent myself, and my opening statement to the jury was this was a case about police corruption and the tampering of evidence. And up until that point, the judge had no idea, nor the prosecutor had an idea of what I was going to testify to. So because it's one thing to, you ever heard the expression, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing?
Right.
You got these court-appointed attorneys, and they well, tell me what happened. You know, then you tell them what happened, they go back and tell your enemy, the opposition. You know, so I never told them what I was going to testify to. I told them something entirely different because I know that you're going to go back and tell them. And basically what I told my first attorney was what the prosecution case already had, was that I sold to undercover. Okay, so now they're thinking that's their case. Okay, because I knew my attorney was going to say that.
Right.
You know, because I've been through the system plenty of times. Okay, how do you innocent in one case and you're found guilty? How does that happen? So it's not about innocence. It's not about, you know, it's not about the presumption of innocence. You're guilty.
It's a game.
It's that's all it is. It's a big business.
That's what you have to realize.
It's all commercial.
You know, you talked about, we're going into the corruption issue inside NYPD, and I can testify to this. I arrested a guy years ago. He had 75 quarter decks of heroin.
Okay.
Interstate trader, a trafficker. Now, the police officer, as a police officer, I voucher the heroin. It was heroin or cocaine? Heroin. Submit a voucher, the desk officer signs off on it, it's put in a sealed envelope, it's dropped in a safe.
Right.
It's entered into a log, and there's called a chain of custody.
Right.
That then is picked up and taken to the lab for analysis. When it gets to the lab, it's logged in. The technician that gets it and opens it up signs for it. They do the lab analysis, they do a report. The remaining quantity of drugs are placed back into another voucher envelope and what was tested. And then it's stored for trial.
Okay.
I go to One Police Plaza to pick up the heroin for a trial with the special narcotics prosecutor. I'm the police officer. I come to the window to pick up the heroin. They tell me, this isn't here. What do you mean it's not here? This was never vouchered. They're telling me, a police officer, that what I vouched was never vouchered.
Wow.
And I have a lab report from the lab saying that it was 96 or 97% pure heroin.
Wow.
Pure heroin. So
You put it in there.
I put it in. It already went to the lab. It was analyzed, everything, weighed out, everything. I have all the documentation from the lab. They're telling me I never vouched it, and I'm a police officer. So I can imagine a civilian now. So I asked for the phone, and I called the Special Narcotics Prosecutor's Office and asked for a search warrant and 2 arrest warrants. And the lieutenant says, well, what are you doing? I said, I'm about to effect an arrest.
Right.
I'm going through this entire facility, find what I came for, and then I'm going to lock the 2 of you up. And he sent the cop in the back, and he comes back in a minute with the heroin. All right?
Wow.
That's in police headquarters. I'm the arresting officer, and they're telling me. Now, if you have, automatically, that's an internal affairs investigation.
Of course.
All right? And something for which I could have been prosecuted for.
So how much was that heroin worth? We're talking about what? What kind of money?
75 quarters. But after it's cut down and dispersed,
Yeah.
tens of thousands of dollars.
$100,000 at least.
So then,
$250,000 maybe?
If I didn't have all my ducks in a row in my documentation, I'd have been left holding the bag for that
They
heroin.
said you had stolen it.
Right.
Right.
and they was going to try to
And
profit
you
off
being
of it.
black.
Right, and they're going to steal it and sell it.
Wow. It doesn't surprise me, but
well, that's
So,
the
Magala,
system.
yeah.
the technician, now tell us about her.
Okay. Well, she testified
Now,
at my
the technician is the one that falsely found you.
falsified a instrument for filing with the
Instrument
courts.
is what?
Instrument is the drug lab results,
The drug.
but it's a.
Oh,
it's a
she took a test of you, and the test came out.
No, not, she was supposed to analyze the material that was vouched, the alleged cocaine, right?
right.
Okay, all right. So she was supposed to vouch or
No, analyze it
analyze,
Right.
and do a report.
Right.
report on what they found you.
Or what they said they found. Correct.
Okay, all right.
So, what she testified to was that she did a GCMS, gas chromatography, mass spectrometry.
Okay.
It's 2 tests. Okay, and so I understand what it is now because I researched it when I was in prison, and it's a chamber. Okay, they use some of the substance for testing. It goes through the gas chamber. Okay, and then it comes out through the mass spectrometry, which actually has peaks. There's a base peak, which is the highest peak, and it prints out that spectrograph. At my trial, that was never a part of the evidence. I was never given a chain of custody report, though I requested it. How you gonna have evidence and not have a chain of custody report at a trial? Okay,
Us laymen don't understand that.
Okay. Chain of custody is from the time the arrest is made.
Right.
All right. Let's say you have a gun. I take the gun.
Right,
That gun is then vouched.
right, okay,
Technically, you want as few people handling that weapon as possible.
okay,
That's the chain of custody.
Okay.
And there's what is called the fruit of the tainted tree. If anything is obtained illegally or improperly, it voids it voids that element. So if I now am vouching the gun, and I say to you, all right, Winston, do me a favor. The gun is fully operational. Here, Winston, voucher this for me while I do X. All right? You voucher it now, and I'm the arresting officer. You're the vouchering officer. It goes down to ballistics for testing. Once it's in the ballistics unit, they have to sign it in, because now it has gone from us to them.
right,
The technician testing the weapon
right.
has to put in the report that he's tested the weapon, it's functional, the calibration of a 38 or a 9mm, whatever it is, it's fully functional, blah, 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 and that report is done, and it's resealed and sent back to the property clerk, and a copy of the report is sent to me. Now let's say the gun is operational. I give it to you to voucher it, and now when it gets to the lab, it's inoperable.
Okay.
How did it get broken? Because I'm charging him with possession of a firearm. If I'm charging him with possession of a loaded firearm,
Right.
it can't be an inoperable firearm. It has to be a firearm that's operable.
So the
So now-
end report gives that it's inoperable.
Then the question is, in this chain of custody,
So
how did the weapon wind up inoperable? If it was operable when I arrested him and charged him with a fully operational weapon.
Okay,
So,
in the case of the cocaine, supposedly cocaine, which she found on you what?
No, she didn't.
She didn't
no,
find.
no,
She's
she
a
was-
technician in
she's
the
a
lab.
technician. She analyzes the substance.
So
that
what
are
did they
given to-
find on you? Somebody put something on you?
Well, the arresting officer, the whole thing was that they wanted me to be an informant.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so I didn't know anything, but they
Okay.
felt I should know something because I'm in a what they call a
drug-prone area?
Oh, I get it
high
now.
zone or something like that.
So they set you up.
pretty much.
So what you
But-
got,
But the thing is, I'm not even concerned about the sale because that's not what's holding me. It's the possession, because I beat the sale. So the sale.
but you had some coke on you.
No, I didn't. I had nothing on me. I was just over there in the neighborhood waiting for my guy to come downstairs
Why would they pick on you?
because they they saw me, a black man, on 97th and Broadway in Manhattan.
No,
Okay.
the real deal. They know you had done
No,
this before?
no. I've had, the only thing I've
a lot
had.
of black men on 97th Street
Okay,
and Broadway.
but here's the thing. I have an arrest record. I'm not going to say I'm telling you. I'm
Right,
not
there you
saying.
go.
I have
You
an
were
arrest
known
record.
by the cops.
I won't say I'm known because I didn't know him.
All right, were you arrested in that area before?
No.
Okay.
It's just
No.
an old hangout.
Yes, it was Mo Hangout.
Well, they'd known you in the past of selling drugs in that neighborhood.
No, I've never sold drugs before.
You've been caught with drugs on you before?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's get to it. Let's
Right.
be real about
Right.
it. You've been caught in the past with drugs on
Right.
you.
I have an arrest record for criminal possession of a controlled substance, not sales.
All right. You got a record.
Right.
So they see you and figure that you know some people
That I might know some people that know some people or something,
All
and
right.
that wasn't the case.
So they're going to set you up. This time they're going to catch you with something because they know in the past you've had something on you.
Well, I don't know what they knew.
Well, this is the way cops work, isn't
Well,
that
he
what
has
they
no-
do? They try to set him up to make
You're
him a
making an
snitch.
assumption. They don't know anything about him because
What?
listen,
All right.
they never interacted with him before. They don't have any prior knowledge of him or his arrest. All right? This is what can and does happen to people. All you have to do is be in an area and you get stopped.
Okay.
Okay? That's it. That's all you need.
And they stopped him and he had a record.
That has nothing to do with the reason why they stopped him. Has nothing to do with
Of
it.
course not.
Okay.
But they hit pot luck. What, they got lucky? They caught somebody that had a record, and then they try to set you up.
Right. I mean, because
Squeal on them
I'm pretty
people.
sure once they arrested me, they ran my name. They
Right.
saw that I got a record.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah.
But
So then
you
they try to set you up.
You beat the
I beat the
charge.
I beat the cell. I
Yeah.
beat the top count.
So, if you are found not guilty of a sale,
Right.
were you not charged with possession then?
There was 3 counts.
Okay.
The top count was criminal sale in the 3rd degree.
Okay.
Then there was criminal possession of a controlled substance in the 3rd degree with intent to sell. Then there was criminal possession of a controlled substance in the 5th degree. They were just trumping up charges.
Yeah,
on
you
me.
throw everything on
Yeah.
the scale.
How much did supposedly they catch you with?
Well,
I mean-
the lab technician, Mary Magala, testified that it was 1,152 milligrams.
What's that?
It's about a gram.
A gram of coke.
Yes, a gram of crack.
A gram of crack.
Right.
A gram of crack is a lot of crack, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Well, we're talking about a little,
You're talking about, what, $30?
a $30 worth of crack.
Yes.
Oh, $30 worth of crack.
Yeah.
Well, how is that sale?
How was that intent?
Wow. Okay.
But in any event, she testified at my trial that she did this test, but like when I got because I represented myself, my attorney turned over all the Rosario material that the ADA Joseph Perry had. Okay, and there's a table of contents that shows what was turned over. And there was no chain of custody report, there was no spectrographs there. Okay, it only came out in 2010 when it hit the newspaper that I found out about it, that I submitted a FOIL to the police department, One Police Plaza, requesting such evidence. I requested a chain of custody report, the spectrographs, all of that. And they denied me. I appealed it, they denied me. Then I put in Article 78 on the mandamus to compel them to deliver up something which you should disclose to me under public officers law. And I wound up getting the documents that I requested. And what I found was newly discovered evidence in there, like the chain of custody and the spectrographs that was not given to me at my trial. So they also said that they retested the substance, okay, and it came out to be 72.2% pure. Mind you, the lab results that Mary Magala had said it was 70.8% pure. That was in 2007. So when they retested it, I think it was in 2011. So basically,
It got pure?
It got better. The crack actually got better. It's like it was fine wine or something.
Now, the issue with Miriam Magala I want you to go give the people a clear understanding of what she was doing or what she was not doing as she worked for the police department for over 20 years.
Right. Well, what I know of is only what's been out in the newspapers. Okay. She was taking, like, she would test some drugs, and then like the last drug, she'd just automatically say it's positive without even testing it. Okay. She would test things that she would think that was positive even when it was negative for cocaine residue. Like there was this one crack pipe that she said she tested, it was supposed to be positive, and there was no cocaine residue in the pipe. It was negative. And then she was supposed to do a second test after she did the initial test. That's part of the protocol. And she never did that test in my case. I actually had the Internal Affairs Detective Taleli and a Lieutenant Staffer came up to Fishkill Correctional Facility to visit me, and they interviewed me, and it was like everything that I was telling them that she should have done and she didn't do, they seemed to agree with me because they completed my thought process for me. Then they turned around and asked me if I had an attorney, to which I said no. And since I came home July 1st last year, I contacted the Internal Affairs or the CCRB, because I made a complaint against Mary Magala.
Right.
And they told me, they was quiet for a second when I was on the phone with them. They was quiet, and then it was like, well, why did you wait so late to find out what the results were? I'm like, I didn't know I had a time limit. Like, he says, well, it's too late. And that was it. And I'm like, okay. You know, what do I do? It must have been something in there that was favorable that you didn't want to tell me about.
So as the end result of all this, what happened to you?
Well, I wound up doing, I was sentenced to years, and I did 6 years on that.
As a result of this misanalysis,
right, as a result
this
of
botched analysis,
right, the
you
botched
spent
trial.
six years in prison.
Yeah, I spent 6 years in prison fighting to get my son and fighting to overturn my conviction. So I have two battles that's going on in prison, trying to overturn my criminal conviction and trying to fight to get my son.
Well, it's pretty tough for you to get your son back if you're in prison.
Well, my son, I wanted him to be with his grandmother.
Now, right now,
Well,
you're...
that's the ACS.
Right.
ACS don't, you know, they're making money off.
Yeah, I realize that. That's all it's about.
Each
And
of
then-
these trials is like $45,000 to the system.
And not only that, but their policy, their mission statement is to strengthen and reunify children with their families. But they're doing just the
well,
opposite
that's
in
the way
this
it
case.
used to be. That's
Well,
the way it used to be.
that's what their mission statement says. I mean,
Well,
you know, and then it is also the goal of the foster parent to also do the same, to help strengthen and reunify that child with the family. But this
they're
foster
getting
parent,
paid.
yeah, well, you know, this foster parent here has been fighting to take my son from me and his family.
Wants to adopt them?
Yeah, she wants to adopt him, and
Do you have rights to see your son?
yes, my parental rights are still intact. Thank God.
They're still intact?
Yes, I've
That's
been fighting
great.
these people since
How
2007.
long ago did you get out of prison?
July 1st last year.
Last year?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're working now?
Yes.
Okay. That's good. That's good, man.
Now, right now, you have another scenario with regard to your son's well-being. Could you tell us about that?
Okay, well, I recently, because my son is in Chicago right now visiting his grandmother and his side of the
Okay.
family.
All right.
He's out there for about a month, so the end of this month, because he's going to be going back to school.
And you want him to stay out there?
I would love that. I would love that until I can get myself together.
Okay.
You know, but prior to him going to Chicago, he went to Florida with the foster mom and her two children.
Mm-hmm.
They went to Florida to go to Disney World. And they was on this boat. And the reason why I know this is because my son told me. And so when he goes to Chicago, his grandmother sees his elbow and asks him what happened. And my son told my mom that mommy pushed me. He calls the foster mom mommy. Mommy pushed me. So my mom asked him to explain what happened. He says, we was on a boat and I didn't hear mommy calling me, and she pushed me backwards, and she pushed me and I fell backwards and hit my elbow. So now there's a little there's a scar that shows his flesh on the left side of his elbow. So I told my mom to take him to the hospital out there, okay, because we have to document this. And she did that, and they questioned my son, like I guess the social workers out there, 3 times, and 3 times my son was consistent with his story. So they opened up a case against the foster mom. She's now been investigated, okay, but over the past, my son has told them that she hit him with a belt. It never went anywhere. My son started a fire in her home while she was there. That never went anywhere.
Wait.
Your son started a fire?
My son started a fire in the foster mom's home, and it never went anywhere.
Why, he didn't want to stay there or something?
I mean, knowing my son, and I've seen his behavior over the years when he used to come up to see me in prison, he's rebelling. And it's something they don't want to diagnose my son with, a separation anxiety disorder. They're trying to say, oh, he's fine, let's just medicate him. He has ADHD, he's ODD.
Man.
Well, they're good for that.
You know, yeah, exactly. ODD, oppositional defiant disorder. Well, why do you think he's been defiant?
He just wants to be with his daddy.
He wants to be with his family, and they're not getting that part. If they are, they don't care, because it's not about the best interests of the child, it's about their own best interests.
Well, where do you go from here?
Well,
How can we help?
well, if any viewers out there, you know, attorneys work pro bono,
Oh, okay.
you know,
All right.
because 7 years in foster care is a long time and violates the child's substantive due process rights to family integrity. You know, I've seen a lot of cases where children that's left in foster care 4 years, the parents would sue the Administration of Children's Services for that.
Okay.
You know, so 7 years is an extremely long time. And I just came from Brooklyn Family Court, and there's an adjournment till January 5th next year.
Yeah,
January.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a tough.
That's a long
that's a tough
adjournment,
one.
right?
That's a tough.
Exactly.
All right, you know what we're going to do? You have the control room. You have a chance to run Graham's video. It's a short piece, about 5 minutes, and we'll come back and see if we can't take some phone calls and see what we can do. All right? Do we have a phone call from somebody?
Oh, from Papa. No, he's traveling right now,
Oh,
so
okay.
he can't call.
All right, so let's go to the roll-in and play that first 4 minutes. What? 6 minutes?
Berkley. We will now hear from retired Detective Graham Weatherspoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Graham Weatherspoon. I'm with the Black Law Enforcement Alliance. The murder of Eric Gardner is extremely disturbing because we've seen this far too many times. As the Staten Island District Attorney prepares this case and his investigation, we want you, the general public, to have an understanding of some of the criminality that went forth that you saw with your own eyes. And I'm going to read a registry of charges that are visible in the video that you saw. And understand, an early statute in the New York State Penal Code, section 5.0, says that the law is not to be strictly construed, but is to be used for the fair deportment of justice, which means that a law enforcement officer has the latitude to give a warning to an individual as opposed to arresting them, especially for something as minute as the sale of cigarettes. Charge number 1. Penal Law Section 125.25, murder in the second degree. A person is guilty of murder in the second degree under circumstances evincing a depraved indifference to human life, where he recklessly engages in conduct that creates a grave risk of death to another person and thereby causes the death of that person. That felony charge is an A1 felony. Murder in the second degree, an A1 felony, where the person acted in an especially cruel and wanton manner, pursuant to a course of conduct intended to inflict or inflicting torture upon the victim prior to the victim's death. And used in this subparagraph, torture means the intentional and depraved infliction of extreme physical pain. Murder in the first degree. The person is manslaughter second degree. The person is guilty of it when with intent to cause serious physical injury to another person he causes the death of such person or a third person. That is a B felony. Criminal negligent homicide. A person is guilty of criminal negligent homicide when, with criminal neglect, he causes the death of another person. Criminal negligent homicide is an E felony. Reckless endangerment in the first degree. A person is guilty of reckless endangerment in the first degree when, under circumstances evincing a depraved indifference to human life, he recklessly engages in conduct that creates a grave risk of death to another person. That is a Class D felony. Criminal obstruction of blood and circulation. A person is guilty of criminal obstruction of breathing or blood circulation when, with intent to impede the normal breathing or circulation of blood in another person, he or she applies pressure on the throat or neck of such person or blocks the nose or mouth of such person. Criminal obstruction of breathing or blood circulation is in Class A
All he did was
misdemeanor.
break up a fight.
Strangulation
This
is
what
the
happens
second
for breaking
degree.
up a fight.
It's a hate crime.
It's crazy.
A person is guilty of strangulation in the second degree when he or she commits the crime of criminal obstruction of breathing or blood circulation, as defined in section 1.1.11 in this article, and thereby causes stupor, loss of consciousness for any period of time, and or physical impairment. Strangulation in the first degree is also a hate crime. A person who obstructs the breathing or blood circulation as defined in that article and is thereby causing serious physical injury to such person. Other terms you will hear: culpable, culpability, culpable mental state. These are terms that are going to be thrown around over the next few months. For the members of the press, I'm going to give you a contact where you can get a copy of this. It's 10 pages. I'll give you an email address. You can send it out, and I'll get it back to you this evening.
See, that was a meeting with IG.
We had a meeting with
Investigating
the Inspector General of NYPD,
Okay.
and the Commissioner of the Department of Investigation. His name escapes me. It's interesting because I mentioned Magala in that meeting.
Okay.
I gave them a list of cases that they need to look into, going back a number of years, because Commissioner Bratton doesn't need to retrain the police officers of NYPD. We even gave them recommendations with regard to hiring. You cannot train people to be civil. You cannot train people to be respectful. You cannot train people. These are things you learn at home with your mother and your father.
That's right.
And if you're coming out here with that, that's what you got at home. All right? And we need to address the issue of racism as it festers and continues to fester in our society. One of the things I said at the press conference is that we get our police officers from society.
Right.
They don't come from anywhere but in and around the metropolitan area. That's where they come from. So whatever is going on, that's what we've got. But we need people. Number one, I think they need to raise the entry-level age for a police officer. 21 is barely out of the teens, and a 21-year-old psychologically and emotionally is not ready to deal with some of the things that a police officer has to deal with any more than us sending 18-year-old kids to Baghdad and Afghanistan and coming back with their brains fried. I've been at shootings here in New York where cops were in trauma as a result of what they witnessed in the shootings.
Yeah.
Number two, looking for people with college credits hasn't benefited the police department at all. The psychological exam has not protected the people of New York City, nor has it protected the police department. The police department has cost the citizens of this city $1 billion over the last 10 years. $1 billion in revenue through lawsuits. And right now, we have 4 members of NYPD, a sergeant and 3 detectives. 2 are white, 2 are black. Amongst the 4 of them, They are right now responsible for 91 lawsuits.
How many?
91.
How many police officers?
4.
4?
4.
4.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4.
9.
4 members are responsible for 91 lawsuits, and that is not over the last 10 years.
That's
That's
crazy.
over the last 6 years. These guys have run up
that's crazy.
90 lawsuits.
That's crazy.
So the question I asked the IG and the DOI is, why are these kinds of people working at all? They are costing us financially. They're costing us in the lives, with regard to the lives of the citizens of this city. The cases, the arrests, the bogus arrests, the effect that these types of cops have upon people in destroying people's lives.
Yeah. It's all part of the system.
I even gave him a homicide case to investigate regarding a police officer. So we really have to dig, and as a matter of fact, the Department of Investigation, this new commissioner that
We got a couple of callers.
okay, the mayor has appointed, they're losing their top, not the top person, but the deputy commissioner is leaving the end of this month, Victor Olds. Victor Olds I've known for about 50 years. Served as a former U.S. attorney in the Southern District. He served under the Attorney General, investigating all types of crimes, and he's also run community legal services in Brooklyn, amongst other things, and an honest student in law school and a professor of law at Columbia and Fordham universities. He is being pushed out the door by this incoming commissioner at the Department of Investigation. And one thing we told him is, as you fill in these slots, especially with the IG, which is a new position, I said, you need to make sure.
It's a new position?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I said, you better hire competent
okay.
investigators. It's not
So
about
they're
getting
trying
the
to do
facts.
something about all this stuff?
Yeah, the IG just was put in place 2 months ago.
All right, before we take the caller, I just want to ask one other question. Just give us a little time, caller. I know this is out of the box and what we haven't discussed. I don't even have any roll-ins on it, but what's happened out in Missouri? Any comments on that? What do you think about have you investigated any of that?
Only
I know
what
Reverend Sharpton's been out
only what
there,
we've
and
seen
we'll
on the
find out
news.
Saturday what the real deal. Well, I heard about the kid that was witness of. But this seems to be racism is prevalent throughout America. But we can see by this shooting just recently that hell is hell wherever you go to be black. And we have to learn as a race of people to understand that they think of us as animals. And it's that simple. So in each of these cases where they're trying to take your kid away, where we're fighting the chokehold, and where we're fighting for this kid just holding up his hands in the air a weekend before he goes to college and being mowed down. But this is all over. We'll take the first caller. Welcome to the Gilchrist Experience. You have a question?
Yes, good afternoon, Brother Gilchrist and Brother Weatherspoon.
Good afternoon.
I just want to say, my name is Kareem from Harlem. I just want to say that I believe that this is racism in its most evil way against black people around this nation, as it has been going on for the last 500 years. This is stop and frisk and assassination of what they did to the brother Ghana out in Staten Island. My question to you is this: what do you think our people need to do to stop these racist white devils from killing black people? I think that we should defend ourselves, as Malcolm said. When these people come in our neighborhood, killing black people, killing children, killing women, we are less than men if we don't stand up and use the language that they understand. That is the only thing that's going to stop it. Training other police to do different things and racism, that's not going to stop it. This is a racist world, it's a racist society, and we better stand up as men and start doing stuff. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock at the State Government, we're having a rally surrounding Garland and St. Louis, Missouri, fighting and the killing of that brother out there. I thank y'all for my comment, and I would like to hear your response.
Well, I'd just like to say this. Grabbing the gun Is you going to lead? Are you going to be the first one out there with a pistol? Don't you know that's exactly what they want us to do? That's not the smart thing to do. We know about racism. Racism has always been here. But that is for us to learn to get along with each other and stop killing each other to start with. And then start there. Stop killing your brothers. Watch your brothers killing each other. Stop gaming and playing games on each other. And unite as a race of people and learn to nurture and cure our problems. We need to stand up as a race of people to know that nothing's wrong with us. We're just taught to be evil and grab the gun. We've never gotten any place. Well, that's exactly what they want to do. I think that's exactly what they want us to do. You see what happened out in Missouri? You think it does anything to raid the stores? Let's hear from Graham.
Civil unrest is tearing up your own neighborhood makes no sense.
You know what I mean?
You know, I remember back in the '60s, our people were rioting, and then the next morning when they got up, they couldn't get a loaf of bread, they couldn't get a container of milk, they couldn't get a dozen eggs because they tore up everything that was around them. Secondly, I have my own personal feelings with regard to me and my family.
Oh, yeah, well.
And that's for me. I have talked with people, and I've told Ray Kelly this. I said, at the rate you're going, you're looking to have a bloodbath in New York. And I told him that. And I said, and that might be part of your agenda.
Yeah, it is.
Might be part of your agenda.
Exactly what they want to do.
I spoke with former military personnel who are very much disturbed. And they're not gangbangers, and they're not going to be firing with a 9mm. They're coming at you with 7.62 NATO round. And a bulletproof vest doesn't stop that.
Right.
A 30-06 with a good scope, you wouldn't hear the shot from the distance. And I said to Kelly, what exactly are you trying to provoke? I had a friend who was shot in the back in the Bronx following the death of Amadou Diallo. And this was a good guy. Wasn't a bad cop. He was a good cop.
Yeah.
All right. So there are no winners and there are only losers. The technology that sits in this city, what you don't know is that there are 2 Apache helicopters in New York.
Wow.
Waiting.
And they got the markings NYPD on. It doesn't say U.S. Army. We have technology which can scan a building and see you through the brick. Thermal readers. You're not ready for that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying be scared. But, you know, all this talk is one thing. The action is something else. And in the book, The Art of War, and even in military ops, you assess your adversary, and you know your strengths and you know your opponent's strengths. And you should definitely know your weaknesses and your opponent's weaknesses. So it's all about, I'm about right now sitting at the table with these commissioners and such to restructure. Another thing, for the black and Latino members of NYPD, part of their failure is this, in that enough of them are not aspiring to take positions of supervision. All right. As a detective, I could tell a police officer, a sergeant, a lieutenant, and even a chief what they could and could not do.
What would you say to this guy that calls up that wants to go shoot?
We need...
Tell him to join the police force?
Yes.
That's the best way to fight it.
I despised cops growing up. And my mother knew at 16, the next cop that touched me, because she saw a cop kick me, and she punched him in his mouth. And I told her, the next cop that touches me, I'll kill him. And I could snatch 140 pounds off the ground with either arm when I was 16. She knew I was not playing. She never said, don't do that, Johnny.
But you never killed anybody.
A cop never put his hands on me.
But you never killed anybody.
A cop never put his hands on me again.
But you never killed anybody,
A
did you?
cop never put his hands on me.
Well, God was on your side.
You understand?
Oh, we all
I
been
have
to
no
that point.
aversions to protecting
But
myself.
what about this madness here?
So
about
here I
going
said,
out?
I joined the police department.
Yeah.
All right? And the purpose of joining was to keep one of the psychos from getting the position. Not that they won't try to keep you from getting in, because they tried it with me. But the fact is, our young men and women need to go after those positions.
So you joined the police force to rid the police force of bad cops?
Just to keep one bad cop from getting in there. And then while I was in there, getting at the bad cops that were in there.
All right, next caller, please.
How you doing? I'm calling from home.
All right.
Listen, first of all, I think you guys should have more open discussions on your program to let people call in and talk. Two, I just heard you speak about the minority officers, and it's a shame that we actually think that it's just the white officers that are doing us harm.
Right.
In my personal experience, at this present moment, I am in federal court against several officers that all happen to be minorities. The officers that testified against me, who can't hold their story together to save their soul, they contradict each other. And yet the city law department actually wants to defend this nonsense. So my thing is, you can't keep saying it's just the white officers.
No.
You got to start putting the onus of blame on these house nigger cops and these Puerto Rican ones that go along with the madness that they're doing to us, because they stand by and then help cover it up if they're not directly participating.
Right. Yep.
And I want to thank you for allowing me these comments. And brother, I hope you one day get your child back. And if you can go ahead and give some information about what organization you with or who you're dealing with to help you, I would like to reach out to you and do something for you myself, because I'm tired of seeing us brothers being tortured at the hands of the system. And unfortunately, there's a disattachment of the fact that the elders, such as Brother Gilchrist said, we always think because we have a criminal record or we've done something in the past, which I have no criminal record, it's always we had to do something to provoke them. I can just walk out my building and get arrested, sir.
That's
And
right.
this is
That's
what's
right.
going to be proven in court. And thank you, gentlemen.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Well, I know that, but I just said that because they're always looking at us to find something wrong. I was walking down the street a Saturday afternoon with a brown paper bag in my Saturday afternoon. I'm dressed and I had a brown paper bag, and a paddy wagon pulls up to me and asked me to look in the. They were looking to give me a ticket for because they thought the cap was off, right? So they were looking to give me a ticket. Luckily, it was a small Miller's, $1 bottle of beer, and I pulled it out and showed them that the cap was still on there and it was full. But they were picking on me. I mean, they pick on anybody.
You look suspect.
I look like a thug. No, I had a silk shirt on, matter of fact. That day I was clean. So, I mean, they pick on anybody.
Yeah.
And this is Saturday afternoon on Lenox Avenue.
That's
But,
where you were, Lenox Avenue.
Lenox Avenue, on Lenox Avenue.
Okay. Do you have another call?
No, but
You have an organization? He asked about getting in touch and...
yeah.
Okay, well, is he still on the air?
He's listening. He's
Okay.
listening.
My brother, actually, I have a website. You can go and check that out, and I can give you my email, and we can connect like that.
Go ahead.
Would that do for you?
He's not on, but give it to him. He's listening.
Oh, okay. Well, the website is saveisaiah.com. Isaiah is spelled ISAIAH.
We should have put that underneath your name.
SaveIsaiah.com.
Go ahead.
SaveIsaiah.com. My email address is my name, Dewan, DJUAN COLLINS 79
Oh, we got it.
at gmail.com.
We can see it right there. SaveIsaiah.com.
Okay?
All right.
So if you would like, my brother, and I would appreciate it, if you go to that website, there's a place where you can sign an online petition, and volunteers are needed as well, because I'm trying to do this campaign all by myself, passing out flyers, getting petitions, things of that nature. I'm in the process of trying to get some T-shirts made. So whatever way you might be able to help, my brother, would be appreciated. I thank you for your concerns.
Also, if you could get back in touch with us regarding the officers in your federal case, I would like information on that, because these are the kind of things we want to take to the IG and to the Department of Investigation, because if they're lying in court in defense of themselves, they cannot testify in a court against any defendant if proven to be
Perjurers.
guilty of perjury.
Right.
Ah,
All right?
okay.
So these cops need to be taken out in the process.
All
So,
right, we
brother,
got
please
time
get back to us so we can get your contact information. All right? So
we
can
got
keep
time for
abreast
one
of
more
your case.
caller, and then we have to go out. You got a minute, caller. You got a minute.
Hey, how are you?
You have to hurry up.
Okay. I just want to say real quick, wow. I called in last week or something, and we discussed Patrick Lynch. I told you he had tons of visceral anger towards our community. And I heard your story, brother. I don't know too much about it. I'm just a paralegal. Please, don't ever represent yourself again. And, don't represent yourself. Save some money. Get an attorney that you can pay for that is willing to work on your case for the long duration. You can't go at it alone, and you will get your son back. And I'm sorry to hear these stories, but don't represent yourself, man. And, do what you can. Do whatever it takes to get your son back, whatever it takes, but do it through the legal process. And even if you have to go to the Supreme Court, all you need is a legal document, and that's a letter. And as far as the Eric Garner case, I want to say, Mr. Weatherspoon, thank you for standing up. That was a wonderful press conference. It was off the charts. It's what's needed. And the first caller, absolutely, Brother Gilchrist, you were right on the money. We don't need to go out there and start shooting and killing each other. We have a lot of murderers in our own community.
That's
Liberty
right.
Cab, people are being killed in the Bronx. So you're right, and my heart goes out to the mother. Seeing her face, the St. Louis mother, it was devastating.
Whoa.
She was broken,
Yeah.
and she broke me, and I'm still broken. And
Amen.
I don't know what to say, and there's no way to deal with this only in groups, because basically there's only a few conscious black people that are going to stick together and do what needs to be done. There's a whole host of us that's going to fight against us. So we can't include everybody. Whatever you believe in, Jesus or Allah, Buddha, whatever, we need it all. Hotep, reinstate automatics. I love you, brothers, and be well. Take care.
God bless you.
Take care, my brother.
Thank you. I'm sorry, we don't have a chance for an answer, but we only have about 30 seconds left. Say goodbye, or give a comment, and we got 30 seconds.
Give the
So
email, give the website again.
We gave that already. All right. Well, the point is that as we come to you weekly with the Gilchrist experience, again, we're trying to deal with the ups and downs of being black in America. And we come to you with different problems each week, but again, the God in me loves the God in you, and stay tuned for another exposure to the injustices that we have to deal with being black in America.
SaveIsaiah.com.
All right? God bless.